Hello and welcome back to the NCSY Pulse podcast. We are powered by NCSY alumni. My name is John Ackerman, and joining me today is superstar, I would say Instagram celebrity and NCSY alum, Melinda Strauss. Melinda, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, I share TikTok, Instagram, everywhere, and very much an NCSY alum with kids who are doing NCSY now. So excited to be here.
All right, so we're going to get to all of that. I can't wait to hear about your NCSY experience, and I want to hear about your kids' NCSY experience. It's so funny, we've been talking about recording the show for a little while, and you sent me like these very modest, I just have a little thing, let's try to schedule. And then I see like on TikTok or Instagram, and you're like speaking at a massive conference and you're like the featured speaker, or you're, running for the World Zionist Congress, or you're publishing a cookbook. And I love how you're like, I just got a little project on the side that's keeping me busy today. And meanwhile, you're on this massive stage with, thousands of people listening to you. So give us a little bit of a catch up. What are you up to these days? And give us some of the highlights.
Sure. So as I mentioned, sharing on TikTok and Instagram, I have for actually 15 years been sharing on social media, which is kind of wild to think about. First really started as a food blogger and just sharing my experiences, testing new recipes and having fun. And it really led me down this path where I just feel like sharing everything going on in my life that led me here talking about Judaism for a living, which is so cool to be able to educate people about what it looks like to be a modern Orthodox Jew, and to answer questions about just Judaism in general and give people a space where they can ask questions they've been wondering for a really long time and never had anyone to ask. And because of my food blogging past, sometimes people are like, you have a cookbook? This is so cool. Tell me more about the food. I'm like, well, food has just always been the part of everything that I do. And I love to share recipes. Every single week I share what I make for Shabbos for my family. And it's funny because I was sharing my daughter eating broccoli, and it was the only food she would eat. And people started calling it Nora's broccoli. They named it that. So because of that, and because I one time made a video and was like, if I ever have a cookbook, I'd love to share this recipe in it. And this follower reaches out and she's like, well, I know an agent, and let's get started. And we did all the due diligence, all the work. And that's what led to writing this cookbook. So that's the big thing happening this year, right? Is I'm writing this cookbook. It's called Eat Jewish. It's coming out September 2nd. And I am so excited about it. I think that my huge excitement is in here and inside of my heart. And like you said, I talk about it, and I should talk about it bigger and even more. But I don't know. I don't like the word humility, because to say, oh, I'm a humble person. No, but I just always feel like a little quiet when I'm doing big things, and I don't know why I do that. I should be louder. So maybe this is our therapy here, and I'm going to get louder about all the cool things that I'm doing.
No, listen, this is great. I'm so happy that you're already comfortable with me, telling me all this stuff. It's hilarious that you're talking about that all your daughter would eat is broccoli, because if I could find a way to bribe my kids to eat broccoli, that would probably be, a miracle in the Ackerman house. So
you'll have to try Nora's broccoli. It's
I am really excited.
Yeah.
I might try it tonight. Literally, we have a whiteboard in my kitchen that's, the dinners of the week, because we find it prevents. I have 4 girls and they constantly fight over what everybody wants. So this way, this is what it is. And then we pretend, you get what you get and you don't get upset, except they all get upset. So, but this is a little bit of a way to do it. So tonight is my turn to cook.
Oh, all right. Nora's broccoli it is. And you'll
Nora's
let me
broccoli
from the video with Nora. It gets people excited about it. So the kids are liking it. We'll see how it goes. But that's really actually what led me to having this cookbook coming out. And it is very exciting. I'm starting to speak more. I'm trying to get more into speaking on college campuses and with students, and really connecting with them more, because I'll tell you, that's something I never expected to come along, was having this incredible connection with high schoolers and college students, and being able to teach them about Judaism, but also show them what it looks like to be proud of your Judaism, no matter how religious, or if it's just, I'm not religious at all, but I identify as Jewish. Be proud of that. It's your ethnicity. It's your identity. So showing people what it looks like to be proud of that every day, that's something that I get to do, and I'm really proud of it.
So tell me a little bit about how you went from, you're talking about how you're talking to college students and you're talking to high school students, and you went from sharing recipes on Instagram and on TikTok to being a voice. How did that happen? How did you go from being, here's Nora's broccoli
Mm.
to let me teach you what it means to be Jewish? Because that's kind of a big step.
Yeah, it happened because people started asking questions. And I find that when people are speaking, when people are commenting, that as an influencer, it's my job to listen and to see what they're interested in. And people were asking me, like when I first started really on TikTok, because that was like a whole new world for me, I would mention, like, okay, I'm turning off my phone for Sabbath. I'll be back in 25 hours. And they were like, what's Sabbath? And I would mention, going to a restaurant. They were like, what is kosher? And I, growing up in this modern Orthodox bubble, like I grew up in this world where I just assume everybody knows. Even people who aren't
Wow.
religious, I just assume everybody knows. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if they're asking, that means other people are asking too and want to know. And they're just not like voicing it. I have this rule that if one person says something, other people are thinking it too. Like even with myself, if I'm thinking something, other people are thinking it. So I will, like, if I see people asking it, I'm like, okay, even if they're just wondering if my dog is Jewish, if my dog keeps kosher, right? These are great, fun, silly questions, but they're not so silly because people are
Right.
wondering. So I started answering their questions, and with that came more questions and then more questions. And I started saying to people, people would say, oh, I know this is a really stupid question, but, and I'm like, no, there are no stupid questions. I really believe that people who ask these questions, they want to know. And if they think it's stupid, and sometimes they ask really deep questions that they were afraid to ask. So I just started answering them, and that's where it built.
That's amazing and good for you. First of all, I love what you say that as an influencer, like your number one job is to be a listener
Mhm.
because so many people are just like, this is my platform. I'm going to say what I want and I don't really care what you hear. It's for me to say. And for you to say, my role here is to listen is
Mhm.
probably makes you a better speaker because you know what people want to hear about. You know and understand what are people thinking? What are people worried about right now? What are people looking for guidance on? And that can then fuel what you're going to say to them.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, with everything that's been going on with Israel, with the recent war, one
Sure.
of the things that I started seeing very early is that people, they want to hear what's going on, they want to know, but they everything's so heavy. Right. So sometimes they just want the lighter stuff. They want to see the joy. They want to see the beautiful things that are happening. And so while there are some times that I'll share something going on that's really upsetting, I decided very early on when the war started not to be a breaking news source because I
Right.
felt they're out there and there are people that I can support and I can share when I need to. But I'm going to keep my page a place where people know that they can come when they want to see the joy, and I'll still get a lot of education because I will always talk about the hostages. I will always talk about what's going on with the IDF, everything, but that they know that it's not going to be like constant breaking news on my page. And that was based on the feedback I was getting from people who were watching my stuff. So that same idea of seeing what they want and still being myself, right? That's important too. But like it's a give and take. It's a back and forth.
You mentioned that you were an NCSY participant and that your kids are an NCSY, and it's funny because you are really filling like this kind of giant NCSY role online where you are kind of a really incredible NCSY advisor right now, to hundreds of thousands of people, which is like that's amazing. How did that start for you? Give us like a little bit of some backstory. How did you get involved in NCSY to begin with?
I'm laughing. So all of my friends who I did NCSY with are going to laugh that you said that, by the way. I'm literally like, we need to send them that exact clip right there and just be like, guys, I'm in. I made it. Because I one time tried being an advisor and it didn't go well for me. Didn't go well. I like to I was always, when I was in NCSY and I went to all these different events and things, I always loved like just hanging out on the side a little bit. I wasn't like in the center of things. And to be an advisor, you really need to be in the center of things, which I
Right.
do now online. But how did I get involved with NCSY? I grew up in Seattle, Washington, where NCSY West Coast was all one family. So California, Seattle, Oregon, Vancouver, we were all together. So we did, and starting in high school, I guess really started a little bit before high school, but mainly started in high school with, there were Shabbatones in California that we all went to. Those were the best. We had events in Seattle, the Vancouver kids came down. Like we had so many events happening year round. And in Seattle itself, when it was just us, we constantly had events. So I did NCSY, and it's just what we did. Like that's where you hung out. You went to all the NCSY events. And it's how we all connected. And it's how I made so many friends on the West Coast that like even today, I'm like, I still have friends from LA that I met because of NCSY.
That's so cool. Was there somebody who was a staff member or an advisor that was the person you looked up to when you were in NCSY?
Oh gosh. Well, it's really funny actually because Rabbi Berg from
Sure, Rabbi Berg, yes.
I forgot what's the head advisor called? Like
So he was the regional director, and then he went on to be the international director.
Yes. So he was the regional director. So, like Ebbing, he was always the one Ebbing. So like I still to this day can picture Rabbi Berg standing up there Ebbing before Shabbos was over. Like those are the things. That's like a memory that always stands out to me actually, which now being involved also with Aish, like it's funny when I'm like, oh, Rabbi Berg, we hung out.
That's so funny. I saw you, speaking for Aish, and I had in the back of my mind, like, oh, Rabbi Berg, NCSY, but I never made the connection. I used to be very close with Rabbi Berg when he was working here. So that's really funny that you guys go all the way back.
Oh, yeah. We go way back. And then my brother-in-law, Ari Hoffman, was one of the directors. Oh, you know Ari?
I know Ari. I know Ari and Gavi and Shelly. I know the whole Hoffman family.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. So Ari was very involved for a long time, and my sister as well.
Wait, Jessica's your sister?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I had no idea. So you and I are basically related.
Oh, sweet.
I have several times been made an honorary Hoffman, so I guess we're in-laws at this point.
Oh, this is perfect. Great. We just found out we're relatives. I love it.
That's hilarious.
Right? Yeah, so Jessica's my sister. She's my older. I have two older sisters. She's one of them. We shared a Jack and Jill bathroom growing up, and she would listen to Dave Matthews. And I never liked Matthews, and it was like I was my Backstreet Boys. She had her Dave Matthews, and it was our whole thing. But we love each other. It's good. She's an awesome now, and I'm here in New York.
That is too funny. Yeah, so I've known them for a million years, and I did New York NCSY with the Hoffmans for many, many years. Wow, that's really funny. So you must, if you're a Backstreet Boys fan, was it Backstreet Boys, right, on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, that intro clip where he sings? You've never seen this before?
Oh, no, I Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I know I watched it. Oh, yeah, you're talking about with the song with the You Are My Fire?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's like the most famous, amazing clip. I love it. I play for my kids, and once in a while, if I really want to torture my kids, I have all girls, so they are like really susceptible to my unique kind of parental torture, which is like I will, if they have friends in the car, because their friends have all seen that clip, I will sing it in the car, like while I'm carpooling, and it's the best kind of torture you could ever imagine.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I'm in. That's freaking great.
So, okay. So wait a second. So you did NCSY, West Coast, Rabbi Berg, Steve Berg, who's a mentor of mine and a former boss of mine, and really just somebody who I still consider a very, very close friend, who's one of the most outspoken leaders of all of the Jewish people, really, at this point, with what he does from Jerusalem, from Aish. You did West Coast NCSY, and you mentioned now your kids are in NCSY. So tell us a little bit about what your kids are doing.
So it's a little different if my kids are, we're living on Long Island, and I know there is NCSY, but it's not the same as what I had growing up, right? It's not the community vibe of it is very different here. So it's more like my son is doing NCSY summer programs, which I love. Last year he did NCSY Euro. He'll be on another NCSY program this summer. And then my daughter, she's one more year in sleepaway camp, and then she's planning to do an NCSY program as well. So their involvement is definitely very different from mine. But I always love to emphasize the importance of being involved with the programs and my love and history with NCSY, so they understand like how cool it is. I went on, what did I do? When I was younger, I went on Yad B'Yad.
So Yad B'Yad is a Yachad program.
Yeah,
I think.
That's a Yachad program, but not.
But still, we like Yachad here. That's fine.
Right, but that's under the Orthodox Union also.
It is, yes. They are both OU. We're one big happy family.
Connections between everything under the Orthodox Union and everything. So that's what I did when I was in high school. But my son's doing his second NCSY program again this summer.
Amazing. Okay, great. We love NCSY Summer. Those are my friends. Shouts to NCSY Summer, who run amazing programs. And anybody who's listening to the show, if they have a Jewish teen who has not yet experienced an NCSY Summer program, I absolutely recommend all of them. They are phenomenal.
And so organized and so much fun. And actually, one of the things I've really been loving, and I actually get to work with them, is Route One. That does funding, and they're actually doing funding for some of the NCSY, many of the NCSY programs this summer. So, which my son's program actually is getting that funding, which is awesome.
Good for you. Melinda, you mentioned, the high school kids, but also the college kids. I work for NCSY Alumni, and one of our tasks is supporting our alumni on college campuses all over the country, really all over North America. And I've heard so many times, as I'm sure you've heard all over the news, the challenges that our college students are going through on campuses. You know, all of the campus challenges are unique. No two campuses can have the same situations. But what have you been hearing as you speak to the college students? You know, what are they saying to you right now? Because it is a tough time. It is a challenging time, and I'm sure they appreciate your support right now. But what have those conversations and interactions been like for you?
So a lot of it is they're trying to find community. You know, for a lot of them, it's finding their community by being a part of like a Hillel or a Chabad or things like that. But for many of them, it's just feeling this need to have other people in their life who are like them. And it doesn't necessarily mean everybody in their life has to be Jewish, but people who are just supportive, who don't care about their politics, who don't care if they love Israel or any of those things, or who don't care about their religion, just hang out and want to support them. They also don't feel comfortable, for a lot of students, walking alone, right? Which is a really crazy thing to think about, that a Jewish student doesn't feel safe just being able to walk by themselves back to their dorm room or things like that. So I talk a lot about community with the students. And I think a part of it is because by sharing what I do and talking so openly about being a proud Jew, it's helping other people to feel open and proud to be able to wear their Magen David, their Star of David, on the outside and not have to hide it. But with that comes a sense of nervousness, because you're walking around with that Magen David and all it takes is one person on campus to go after you. So with the sense of pride comes finding your community so that you can feel safer in numbers. So we talk a lot, that's a question I get a lot from college students, is about how to find your community.
Yeah, it's good advice. Finding their community is super important. People want a place to belong. They need a place to belong. And for no other reason, like you said, even just walking together and having people to be with and not going to be on your own. Yeah. I know it's a struggle for a lot of these kids. And, it's what a way to start off your adult life, is having to deal with all this stuff.
Yeah.
And so thank you, first of all, for being a help for them, being a sense of strength and of support. They really do need all the help that they can get. You know, I've traveled and toured multiple college campuses myself, and just what I've heard is just hearing and just seeing that people are supporting them is a huge source of chizuk for them. And so it's really important what you're doing, really, really critical right now.
And I'll tell you something really interesting is there's something that I like seeing in them finding their community now, because I've talked to a lot of adults who are like, wow, after October 7th, I realized that I don't really have a lot of Jewish friends. Because a lot of my friends, while they support me and they love me, they don't understand what I'm experiencing right now.
Right.
And I've actually talked to people. I've had people reach out like, I want to be friends with you. And there are people in my life, I'm like, let's do it. Or people who live in even other states, they're like, how do I find my community? Because before then, they never really cared to have others who were like-minded in that way or identified Jewishly and all those things. So, and being proud of it. So for these college students, the blessing in disguise is that they're finding their community now instead of having to find it later when they're so desperate for it as an adult.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And finding that community is really critical. And especially, it's funny because we talk about it as a way to combat anti-Semitism, but even, we want these kids to marry Jewish. And one of the things that I'm trying to figure out right now is, NCSY has all these public school alumni who are now age 20 to 30. Mm-hmm. And so we want them to marry Jewish. We've been telling them to marry Jewish for all these years. Now we've got to find a way to support that and help them marry Jewish. So that's sort of an NCSY project on the horizon, is to get into the shidduch business. Should be a lot of fun for us.
My shidduch business. Okay. That's great.
We'll see. It's one of the most common requests we get from NCSY alumni is, can you please find a way for us to find like-minded people to date? Because if you think about it, especially for the public school kids, you go to college, like you mentioned, you've got Hillel, you've got OUGLIC, you've got Alumni on campus, you've got Chabad. But once they graduate, poof, it's all gone. And so that next step can be very challenging for them.
Very interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys figure out in that direction.
So maybe this will be our next collaboration. We'll be getting NCSY alumni to start dating each other.
Over those shirts that say that they met because of NCSY.
Yeah, met through NCSY. Absolutely.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Absolutely.
Wow.
I've watched many of your TikTok videos and Instagram videos, and I'm a fan. Absolutely. And you're so positive, and your energy is really incredible, because the genuineness, is that a word?
Sure.
Sure, it is now a word, genuineness.
Yeah.
It really shines through. And I have to tell you, it's such a breath of fresh air because, like you said, everything is so heavy right now. I am sure, though, that you've had some negative responses from people online, from anti-Semites who just see you being happy and excited and standing up for Israel and standing up for Jews, and who say, oh, there's a target. So what's that been like for you? Because I know you've had lots of positivity and support, but what's it been like with what I'm sure has to be at least a little bit of a negative voice that starts to creep in?
So I will tell you, the negative voice is not there. I'm going to be very honest, because
Really?
what the negative comments do is they fuel me. They don't make me want to stop. They literally do the opposite. They make me want to speak out more because I see those kinds of people. You know, I've been posting specifically on TikTok because that's where more the Jewish educational content started.
Yeah.
I've been dealing with the anti-Semites since the beginning. You know, it's not a good joke to make, but I like to joke that I miss the Holocaust jokes they used to make because now everything is about, you know, all the Israel stuff and the crazy things they say us because we support Israel. Before, I've been going to Israel and sharing about Israel since the beginning of my time sharing about Judaism. So I didn't like become an advocate because of October 7th. I've gotten louder because of October 7th, but sharing about Israel, I've never hidden away from that. So I've gotten the negative about Israel and all of that. It's only gotten worse because now everybody thinks they're an expert suddenly, right? But because I get so much of it, and I have a lot of filters in place, so I'm able to filter a lot of it, but it's all still out and they always figure out a way. Lots of artist drawings of hate symbols, you know, from World War II, all those kinds of things that when you say them out loud, you get kicked off of the internet. But I just let it fuel me to speak out more because one of the things that I've learned is so much hate comes from people who just don't know. Hate comes from ignorance. So when you teach people, I'm not asking people to love us. I'm not asking people to, definitely not asking them to convert. We don't do that. I share because I just want people to understand, to know more about us. You don't have to agree with what I'm doing, but by understanding it, there's less hate. That's real tolerance, right? Real tolerance isn't, I agree with you. It's live your life. I'll live my life and we can live side by side, even when we don't agree.
Right.
And that's a beautiful thing. So that's where I let that hate fuel me completely. Sometimes it's scary, don't get me wrong, but it's never made me want to stop sharing.
Incredible. And that's got to be the way to attack it. That's got to be the way to stand up to it. And I love that your positivity embraces the negativity to fuel more positivity. That's incredible. Was there something maybe from your NCSY experience that you could look back on? Because, you know, you said how like it's kind of funny that you're a super advisor now, and but you really are this powerful voice for the Jewish people. Was there an experience or part of your NCSY experience that you could look back on perhaps and say, you know, a little piece of that was something that helped prepare me or fuel me for where I am today?
Actually, yeah. I have a very specific story that I think about all the time. And it's actually a story that when I was in college, somebody came to me and they came to me and they said, you know, when we were in NCSY, and it was actually on one of the California Shabbatons. And she's like, you were just so nice to me. Like you said, hi, you smiled. We weren't friends, but people were just not being nice. She was somebody who was a total stranger. And she just said, she's like, I wasn't dressed well. I was kind of this or that. She was saying some negative things about herself that I won't even repeat because no, but she's like, you were just nice. And I think about it all the time. She's like, I just want to say thank you. And she was thanking me years later for just being nice. And I think about it because I'm like, God, it's so easy to be nice. Like, I know I get it. It's easy to be mean too, but like the way that you can change someone's life by just smiling at them or being nice to them or listening to them or respecting them. That's why when I say there's no stupid questions, it's because I really want people to understand that they can ask anything and I'm not going to judge them for it. I might giggle a little bit because some of the questions are great, but that message that someone gave me that she still thinks about years later that I didn't think twice about, it was just being nice to a person. And I'll be fully honest, especially for anyone listening who knew me then, I wasn't always very nice. I was not. I'm not going to like sugarcoat it. I just wasn't. Like I gossiped a lot. I was funny. Like, you know, I wasn't a bully, but I just wasn't always the nicest person. It is what it is. I've changed a lot. I've grown a lot. So I'm okay admitting it. So that's why I think it also extra stuck out to me that it was just being nice to a person. And it just shifted something. Like it's so easy to be nice, and how it can affect someone else's life. Like it's the same way that I'll tell people, like, if you're having a bad day, go give somebody else a compliment.
Yeah.
Make it about somebody else. It's going to make you feel amazing. So there's a little bit of selfishness there in the best kind of way, because selfishness isn't always a bad thing. But go make somebody else's day, and it's going to make yours.
That is very good advice. It's so funny. I was just the past couple of days, and I landed late last night. I was in St. Louis for the NCSY Senior Directors Conference, and we had a blast. And one of the themes was really the little things that power everything else. And exactly like you said, just being nice to somebody, just supporting somebody. You never know what that little thing you did at just this one point could have a huge ripple effect later on down the line.
It's like when you think about Lashon Hara and you think of gossip, it's like one tiny thing you say has the most massive ripple effects. Yeah. And it's so scary when you think about it. None of us are perfect. We make mistakes. We all do it. We all gossip. We all try not to, but it does happen. It's my role is just being aware of it so you can pull yourself back from it. So it's just keeping those little things in mind. And I really take that with me into my social media when I'm talking to people, especially when I'm talking face to face, but when I'm answering questions, when I'm responding to people's comments, is treating them with respect. Because I find that when people get into the gossip game on social media, when people get into the fights and the drama, who's it serving? It's not serving or helping anybody. Maybe it's getting them views.
Right.
But it's getting negative views, like the negativity that comes with the negative attention. That's not what you want. Those aren't the kind of people you want following you. Like I really try and think about who are the kind of people that I'm talking to? Who are the kind of people that I want to be talking to? And that's how I use my voice.
Absolutely. And that's the way, you mentioned with the college students, you provide a community. Yeah. That's how you build a community. You build a community with positivity, not with negativity. So I think you're exactly right. I want to switch gears a little bit just because, you've mentioned that you have become really a strong advocate for Israel. And I think it was in January of 2024, so not so far after the October 7th attacks, you actually went to Israel with a delegation, and you, I know, had a very eye-opening experience. Can you tell us a little bit about what was that trip like, and how did that change things for you?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, thank God I've been a few times on delegations to Israel since October. The first one was actually in December, which I look back, I'm like, I can't believe that I went so quickly. Like, wow. Things were still going. I mean, there's constantly still things going on now that the ceasefire's over. It's like never ending. But right. I went in December. And then I went again in January, actually on winter break with my family. And then again in May for a delegate. So it's been, thank God there's been a lot of these trips that I've been able to go on. And the resilience of the people of Israel is the thing that stands out the most to me on every trip I've been on. It's seeing how, we're so far away from it, especially for people who are in the United States, because obviously people listening are all over. But for people like us who are living in the US, we are so far away from Israel. And sometimes it feels like there's only so much we can do, right? We can give to tzedakah, we can help, we can post, we can do all these things, but we're not there. And that helplessness can feel very overwhelming. And being in Israel and being there to see the way that people are living every single day. They live multiple lives every single day. And it's like when you're walking around Yerushalayim on a Friday and there are people who are sitting out and having breakfast and they're dancing and they're singing, but they're also full of so much trauma at the same time. It just shows you that as a Jewish nation, we're going to be okay. Yeah. We're going to be more than okay. Let's be real. We are going to like every time in history that we've experienced this, we will get through it and we will be better for it. But that's the biggest thing that I take on every trip is because I look around and I talk to people and they're dealing with so much trauma, but they're also able to live their lives at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. That's part of being a Jew. Exactly. It's part of being the Jewish people. It's for better or for worse, it is what we do. We go through these experiences and we're resilient and we come out strong and we move on. That's the way we are. That's the way kind of we're wired, which does not take away from the fact that Israel and the Jewish people still need leaders and they still need advocates and they still need warriors, whether it's on the front lines, fighting the physical war, or whether it's on the front lines of the PR battle. It's critical having people like you taking our side and speaking up for people who are not able to speak up. I don't know how you do it though. I'm sitting here listening to you and you're like, yeah, advocate for the Jewish people. Yes. Advocate for Israel. Yeah. Oh, also publishing a cookbook and also speaking on behalf of Asian, and helping them with their campaigns.
Yeah.
And all these different things. Also, by the way, I have, hundreds of thousands of people, if not millions at this point, watching your videos, your educational material online. How do you balance it? I mean, you're a mom also. Like, how do you find this life balance where you are clearly a doer and a go-getter and somebody who is, what's the next challenge that I can overcome or that I can help with? How do you balance all this while also maintaining a healthy family and being a mom to your kids?
It's so funny. You say all those things and it sounds so good. I'm like, I'm doing a lot. And it's funny because I sometimes look, I'm like, what more can I be doing? Like, okay, I have this pocket of time here. What could I be doing with it? And not just scrolling TikTok, which I do a lot of it. Well, I call it research. It's work. It's
Sure.
work. But when you say it all like that, I'm like, oh, I am doing a lot of good things.
Yeah.
I'm always wondering, like, what more could I be doing? Because I always feel like there's another step of how we could each be using our voices. So thank you for saying all that and putting it all so perfectly into a list for me. I will put family on top of all of the things that you just listed, because for me, and I learned this the hard way when I actually first started my food blog, I was prioritizing that over everything else. And I remember one day I was posting like tons of recipes every week and it was taking over my life. And my parents came to visit and I was sitting on my computer looking down and my dad's like, Mel, look up. Look up, like your kids, they're little and they're playing and you're sitting here at your computer typing when they're home. I was like, you're right. And that was a huge shift for me because I hadn't even realized that I was doing it. So for me, number one rule is when I go anywhere with my kids, especially when it's not work related, because like if they're coming with me on a work thing, we discuss it. We discuss everything. Are you okay they're teenagers, right? So I can get consent. They're old enough for that. So if they're going to be in a video, are you okay being in the video? Are you okay with me recording? I'm not going to put you in the video because that always, like my son especially, has no interest in the videos. He loves to go live. It's hilarious, but like he doesn't want to be in the videos. So I'm not putting him in. I'm not bribing him in. I'm not doing any of those things. He doesn't want to be in them. So he's not. But I ask permission. Is it okay if I make a video? Because that has to come first. My videos do not come before my kids. Right. And it hasn't always been perfect. There have been times where I'm like, oh, I really shouldn't be recording, or I should really put my phone down, or even when I'm on my phone for work when they're home, because again, they're teenagers, they're on their phones too. Sometimes I'll let them know, okay, guys, I'm working on something. So they don't just think that I'm like staring down scrolling. Right. I'm prioritizing TikTok. I'm prioritizing some work sometimes because when you work in this industry, you're not working 9 to 5, right? It's all day and night with balance because you got to find, I'm going to be honest though, I don't love the word balance because there really is no such thing. Right. What I find is that sometimes it's more work, sometimes it's more family. Then it goes back and forth, and it's not perfect because it's okay not to be a perfect parent, and it's okay not to be perfect at your job as long as you're continuing to like figure it out. Sometimes I apologize when I find myself focused too much on my phone and not my family, and sometimes my family are all gone somewhere and I can work, or if I have a work trip that I'm able to go on, I ask them first, are you guys okay with me going to Israel for a week? The answer for them is always yes. They don't care. They get to go to Doma and they go to restaurants. Like that's the great thing. My husband takes them to all the restaurants. They have a great. They're like, my mom, go have fun. Like, but just amazing fun. So it's, to me, family comes to the top of it, and then everything else is below that. If I find that they need me first before anything else that I'm doing. Right. But they're also teenagers, and I think it's important for them to understand when we prioritize things. So if they need me for something, but I'm in the middle of something very important, I'll explain it to them. I think communication is huge. Yeah. It's harder with little kids. Yeah. And I want to say that because when I first started blogging, my kids were little and I made a lot of mistakes. And I learned from them to pick my head up more, try and do more work when they're not around, try and do more work when they're in school. It's everybody's life is so different, but the communication aspect of it, I think is really important.
I love what you said. And actually one thing you said is really kind of like burned into my brain right now, which is look up. Yeah. What you said, your dad said, that's really powerful. I think that if you ever want to start a campaign to get people to look up, I think that's like the look up campaign. I think we might be onto something here, but
yeah, good.
I think you're absolutely right. It's so easy to fall into the trap. It really, there's always a text, there's always a WhatsApp, there's always a notification from Instagram or from TikTok. Like there really is no end to it. And we as parents do need to tell ourselves, look up. It's exactly right. So that's very, very good advice.
And I think it's embracing social media also. So I get it with little kids. They don't need phones yet and all those things. But as they get their phones, it's learning how to use them. Like my daughter started putting on her own, by the way. I can't even tell you how impressed I was when she told me she put her own things on her phone for social media rules.
Wow.
It's an hour and a half a day. And then it shuts off, it like sends her a warning, like, okay, you have 5 minutes left or whatever it is, so that she doesn't constantly use social media. She'll do other things. She'll watch TV. She has other fun things and hobbies. Right. She set that up on her own. And I was like, yeah, girl, I need to do that.
That is very impressive.
For that kind of commitment. But
if your daughter ever wants to come to my daughters and maybe give a little instructional, I think that would be really appreciated.
So cool. I was like, who are you? But I like it. And I see a lot of teenagers who are starting to put the phone down more. Because when I was a teenager, what did we have? Nokias, right? Like we had phones. And that was when I got my license, I got a phone. I didn't have one before. So it's a very different time. And I think people who don't embrace it struggle with it more than embracing the time that we're in. Listen, kids have phones, teenagers have phones. They're going to have social media. Yep. It's how do we teach them how to use it correctly and how to scroll it correctly, right? Like, so that you're not, without me having to be there every day looking at their phone.
Yeah.
Right? They have to learn on their own how to navigate life. We can't do it for them. So it's learning how to embrace where we are now. And that's something, I'm in my 40s and I used to people like, I'm too old for TikTok. I'm like, hello, like I'm using it. I have friends who are 50 and 60 who are using it. It's learning how to connect with people, and it's a new way. And there's always going to be new ways. And if we're stuck in the past, like the constant uphill battle I have to teach people the heaviness and the impact that TikTok has. Yeah, they're like, well, I don't use it. I'm like, okay, but all the college students are.
Right.
Somebody said to me once, you should get off TikTok. Not somebody, a lot of people. Get off TikTok because TikTok is anti-Semitic. I was like, cool. So you want me to get off TikTok, but all the college students aren't going to. Right. So I'm going to leave them behind? I won't do that. So I'd rather embrace it and figure out how to navigate around the things that are happening the same way that these college students are too. And the high school students are too. It's happening. So we are never going to get rid of anti-Semitism. When Mashiach comes, maybe that's the end of anti-Semitism. So how do you live your life and live a full life with anti-Semitism happening around you? That's, I think, what's really important. We can never fully get rid of it completely. You can never get rid of hate. How do we navigate around it is what we have to figure out.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Melinda, you've been so kind with your time. I know that we're kind of running up against our time limit here. Let me ask you one quick question to wrap up. Like we said before, you wear many hats and you're excelling at so many of things. And really, you really are a sort of a shining beacon for all of the Jewish people. And as somebody who works for NCSY, it's really cool to see somebody who went through NCSY, who sends their kids to NCSY, being at the forefront of all this. But if you could send a message, you mentioned that you're involved in speaking to high school kids and certainly with the college students. If you had one piece of advice that you could give them in dealing with what they're dealing with right now, I know you mentioned, helping them be part of a community, but if there was one sort of a parting message that you could give them, what would it be?
Don't ever let them push you into hiding. Don't ever let that happen. We are not meant to hide. Everybody doesn't have to wear an Israeli flag on their shoulders. That's not for everyone. But don't hide your pride in your religion, in your identity as a Jew. That's something that we can never let them take away from us. Like I look behind you and there's the fire from the NCSY logo. And that fire, we can never let them put that out. And one of the things that I've seen over and over again through history, not just now, but through history, is when everything's good for the Jewish people, we're very quiet. We're living our lives and it's good, but we're actually supposed to be a light into the world. We're supposed to be out there. And again, it doesn't mean everybody has to be using their voice like I do, but we're just meant to be doing good things and be proud of who we are. That shouldn't stop just because we're complacent as a Jewish nation. We shouldn't need tragedy in order for us to be proud. So if you're proud right now, don't put the star away when everything's good again. please don't put the star away when people around you who are scary too. I understand that, but that's where community comes in. But we can't let them, like when people say, would you hide me? We can never let it get to that place where we need to hide.
That was fantastic. Thank you. Real quick, your cookbook coming out. It's called Eat Jewish, right?
Eat Jewish, September 2nd. It is ready for pre-sale on like Amazon, Barnes and Noble. I'm really excited. We'll definitely be doing some kind of tour in the fall before the holidays. I don't know any that looks like that. So it's pretty early. I couldn't help myself. I announced it like super extra early because I've just been talking about this book for years already. So everything that happens in my life, I share because I can't help myself. So the book, but the book is officially out on September 2nd. So everybody who pre-orders, the book will be shipping out that day.
Okay. Well, I am very excited, and maybe we'll have you back on the show after it releases, and we can do a little promotion there. Melinda, thank you so much for joining us. This has been super fun, and especially for me, finding the Russak-Hoffman connection is really, really fun. Thank you very much. Melinda, where can people find you on Instagram and TikTok?
I'm at The Real Melinda Strauss, basically everywhere. I have a website, also melindastrauss.com, but really if you type in Melinda Strauss, thank God for the algorithms everywhere, I pop up. You'll see the little bit.
Outstanding. And you should follow Melinda Strauss on Instagram. On that note, you can follow NCSY Pulse on Instagram and on our YouTube channel at NCSY Pulse. This has been NCSY Pulse with Melinda Strauss, with John Ackerman. Thank you, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.